Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today I wanted to kind of go over a problem that has been in the game for a long time and definitely needs a little bit of adjusting due to just some miscalculations. It's not even KingsIsle's fault really, it's just an oversight that I think should be corrected, and that is XP in this game. Now, I would like to say obviously the XP system is fine. XP isn't the problem. The problem is specifically around Chrysalis. So I want to go over what's wrong with XP once you reach around Chrysalis, why this started, how to fix it, and then why it's a problem. Not necessarily in that order, but you'll see. Let's get into it. So first off, what's the problem? What am I talking about in case you don't know? So at the end of every world, there is a kind of targeted level that you are supposed to reach. So for example, Dragonspire, without doing any side quests, you will be level 44 at the end of it every time. Celestia, you should be around 60 at the end of Celestia, 70 Zafaria, 80 Avalon, so on and so forth. And the problem is, and this has been a significant problem since Chrysalis, is that when the worlds first came out, that targeted max level was able to be preserved because of the fact that there was a max cap at one point and prevented you from getting too far ahead. This prevented really a lot of problems like people getting way too over leveled before they should. Now with Chrysalis, there came a problem. First off, Chrysalis was released in two parts. The first part had a level cap of 95, second had a level cap of 100. But the problem is that Chrysalis, for some reason by design, was given more XP than necessary to level up. So what happens is, and this is a significant problem, is that when you enter Chrysalis at level 90, you reach level 100 by the end of Chrysalis Part 1. I don't know exactly why they did this, but it's a significant problem, and you will reach around level 104, 105 at the end of Chrysalis. Really the main issue with this is you start getting over leveled, and this isn't really a problem. 5 levels isn't a huge deal, to be completely honest, right? And you can see by my myth here, I'm level 113, I just finished Polaris. So by the end of Polaris, it's a little bit better where you're only 3 levels over what you're supposed to be for the targeted level. Well, this becomes a problem down the road and definitely an unforeseen problem. At the end of Mirage, you're going to be a little bit over level, I'd say. I think you're still 3 to 5 levels over the level. But really, the main issue comes from Imperia, and once you reach around, I believe it's 125 or 130, one of the two. KingsIsle saw that XPs were getting extremely inflated. Certain worlds were giving like 1,000,000 XP, and they wanted to try to cut down on that. So what they did was they removed the current XP cap, which was 2.5 million, and lowered it to 1.25 million. They did this again at 130. Now, why is this a problem? Well, the problem is that you reach 130 when the worlds are still giving an insane amount of XP in comparison to that, since you were over leveled. So, and this is something I've done multiple times, you reach 130 at around the end of Imperia Part 1. The problem with this is that you will reach 140 by Caramel. If not by Caramel, you will reach 140 within the first few quests of Caramel. This is a problem because that's the level cap you're supposed to be in Caramel. So you are now 10 levels ahead of the curve, and surprise, surprise, you can reach level 150 with probably about halfway to 3/4 of the way through Caramel. So overall, there is a significant problem here. You are going to be significantly over leveled now, and a lot of people will feel less inclined to do Lemuria because you've reached that level cap. So I've already kind of gone over it, but what is the main reason why this happened? Well, it was kind of an oversight by KingsIsle. XP had been increasing and increasing for years and years, and they wanted to make it so that once you reach, say, 130, it's not going to take 10 million XP to level up, and quests give like tens of millions of XP. They wanted to try to keep that low, keep it around the million mark so that it doesn't get too inflated. How they did this is they first stagnated the XP cap so it stayed at 2.5 million from around level 110 all the way up to 130. This did kind of work, but what they didn't factor in was the fact that you're already overleveled from Chrysalis, and Polaris makes you even more slightly overleveled. And when at 130 they wanted to readjust it, they didn't consider the fact that you were going to be reaching 130 way before it is intended. And this is obviously a significant problem, like specifically for me, and I know like some of my, like my friend, he reached 140 before doing Caramel and hasn't done Caramel on any of his wizards because he doesn't see a point. I'm assuming at some point, once he decides to do some Caramel, he's going to get up to 150 and then probably stop again. This is a significant problem and definitely needs to be readjusted. So how would KingsIsle readjust this? Well, there's either two ways. Obviously, you can't remove the XP from characters who've already done it. You can't revoke that. That would be absolutely stupid and probably borderline impossible. What you can do is prevent new players from experiencing the same problem. So you're either going to have to do one of two things. You're going to have to readjust every single quest XP to kind of match the total amount. So you need to go through Chrysalis and probably decrease it to the point where you hit level 100 right at the end, and then you're going to have to make it so that you don't reach 130 in Imperia. They need to make it so that you reach it at the end of Imperia. They either need to do that, or they need to readjust how much XP it takes past 130 to a certain point. I don't know if this is exactly doable, but definitely is something that they would need to do. Something that I could potentially see them doing is maybe making a level cap at the end of certain worlds, or at the end of arcs. So at the end of Arc 2, the level cap is 100 right up until you go into Arc 3. At the end of Arc 3, it's 130 up until you go into Arc 4, and this would also potentially solve the issue. I think the main reason why this is an issue, and some people may be asking, why is this an issue? I think it's mainly to do with motivation and the flow of the game. If you're extremely overleveled, you're going to feel like the game is too easy, or you're going to run out of things to do. For example, a long time ago, I made a balance wizard, and I did every single side quest on that. I wanted to see how far you could get in the game just doing every single side quest, and I was level 40 in Mushu. I could do Wintertusk in Mushu, and I think that that is ridiculous and way too ridiculously overleveled. And by in Mushu, by the way, I mean at the beginning of Mushu. I hadn't started Mushu yet. I was still on the first quest of Mushu. So I think being overleveled can make this game feel boring, especially with the inclusion of Dragoon gear, where Dragoon gear is significantly powerful, like significantly more powerful than Malistaire gear. Like, I'm going to be reaching, 140 plus damage within 20 so levels, and that's going to happen like in Imperia rather than at the end of Imperia when it's supposed to happen. So it's going to make the game feel a bit unbalanced for the time being. Now, I would like to say, again, this isn't even really a negative video. It's not supposed to be, and it's not a shot at the devs, because I think that this is definitely an unintentional, unforeseen consequence of just adjusting the XP, and I totally understand that stuff like that could happen. And I'm honestly surprised they haven't decided to fix it yet, considering it has been in the game now for a very, very long time. I think it's definitely one of those things where it's like, it's just overlooked. And I definitely am curious to how they would fix this, if they would follow along my advice or do something different. I am really curious. I feel like it would be much more work to just go through every single quest and readjust the XP, but that might be the most clean option, to be honest. I think it's my preferred option, but I am curious what they'll do. But otherwise, that's really it for today. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is even a problem? I am curious. Do you think that this is just fine and we should just leave it? They shouldn't adjust anything at all? I personally don't think that's the way to go. If they just leave this in the game, again, people will be getting bored, and definitely I could see everyone maxing out their characters in the world before they're supposed to and not questing them up. And I think that's exactly what KingsIsle doesn't want to do in regards to keeping engagement in their game. So again, let me know what you think. I am very curious, dying to hear what you have to say. But otherwise, that is it. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Adios.